Disclosure: any messages and concerns expressed by PeopleZoom and also in the movie Ivory Tower are entirely coincidental, as PeopleZoom has no knowledge of Ivory Tower as of this creation, other than its blurb description, "Is college worth the cost?" Spoiler alert: to the 217,000 jobs added, 800,000 people have evaporated from the labor force. Most of the new jobs pay less than $10 an hour and are in food service or through temp agencies. Job numbers from temp agencies can distort labor report numbers. 15 million young Americans have come of age since 2008 and have entered the U.S. labor force. America's population continues to grow as more people come into the U.S., raising the need for more jobs. During May, U.S.-based employers said they were planning to cut almost 53,000 jobs, which is the highest number of jobs cut in more than a year. In January 2008, America had 138,365,000 jobs. Now the U.S. labor force is right at 156 million. The United States ranks number 17 on Human Poverty Index. Which are the countries ahead of the U.S.? Sweden, Norway, Netherlands, Finland, Denmark, Germany, Switzerland, Canada, Luxembourg, Austria, France, Japan, Australia, Belgium, Spain, and the United Kingdom. What about a strong expert opinion from one of America's active, recognized, experienced, and successful businessmen, Donald Trump? After all, he's in business, in the trenches. Trump states the real unemployment number is 15 to 16%, and even some say it is closer to 21%. Subsequent to Trump's remarks, Microsoft announced the layoff of 18,000 people. This move dwarfs Microsoft's previous, when it cut 5,800 jobs in 2009. And if you are thinking things could be better, that's because of these facts. The median income in the U.S. has only gone up by 0.3% in the last 13 years. As many as 40% of total American young adults are considered underemployed and now work jobs that do not require a college degree. Plus, more than half of college graduates are still relying on parents and family members for financial support. 48% of college grads have jobs that require help for them to get by. The U.S. government is now collecting $184 billion a year on student loans. 40 million student loans have an average balance exceeding $33,000. Our total indebtedness is now passing $1.2 trillion, enough to throw away over $31 million per year non-stop for over 38,000 years. U.S. corporations have preferred, rather than to start or expand companies in the U.S., to offshore $2.1 trillion. For you to understand, $2.1 trillion is so much money that to throw it away at the rate of more than $31 million per year, non-stop, would take you over 66,000 years. If you are still in the programmed thinking mode, your gut response will be to say, "But it's always been like this." Not so. The amount of money U.S. corporations have offshored since 2008 has now risen by 93%. You've heard taxes are business's excuse. In a study of 280 U.S. companies, 71 companies paid more than 30%, 98 companies paid 17.5 to 30%, and 111 paid less than 17.5%. Yet, for the very privileged few, the economy continues to serve them better and better. The average U.S. CEO's income is up by about $1.45 million in the past year, so it now exceeds $11 million. Yet the average American worker earns 314 times less. It is agreed not all of the wealthy have offshored their riches. However, according to Wikipedia, trickle-down economics never existed. Trickle-down economics has always been a political rather than an economic reality, and originated in 1932 as a satirical off-the-cuff statement made by Will Rogers. Two types of greed, master and addict, are at work hand in hand, keeping Americans in a devastating headlock. Those who have acquired a mastery of greed control hordes of people addicted to the lowest price, and further dominate them when they become servers to further enriching them as workers, again at the lowest price. This company and its retail online rival are both abject economic failures, as they function on an unhealthy 5% gross profit margin, which does not permit those below them, their workers, to receive adequate paychecks. As a testament of their devastating power, 23,000 applied for 600 of their jobs, which pay below survival wages. It is literally a pyramid. The 6 people at the top collectively have $152 billion, such a vast sum that to throw it away, working nonstop at $1 per second, which is $86,400 per day, would take over 4,800 years. In addition to gutting America are these invisible U.S. costs. A $6.2 million burden on U.S. taxpayers to provide food stamps and public assistance to workers who are paid below survival wages, plus a $70 million burden on U.S. taxpayers in providing special tax breaks for opening even more stores, plus more than a $600 million burden on U.S. taxpayers in special tax breaks covering company dividends for the owners of that company, plus a $1 billion burden on U.S. taxpayers to provide special and privileged federal tax breaks, plus a $3 billion burden on U.S. taxpayers through an estate tax savings loophole. U.S. employers see the U.S. 3 ways. Borderless. No compulsion to hire from within the U.S. No longer the most competitive market to shop for diligent and smart people. Virtually unlimited labor abroad. A China documentary produced in 2004 casually remarked China has 200 million students. The U.S.'s current total labor force is only 156 million. There are more English-speaking people in China than there are in the U.S. U.S. employers see a global picture, which looks like this one. The special vision of PeopleZoom is opposite traditional business thinking. Rather than exploiting foreign countries and their peoples, which is resulting in bringing the U.S. standard of living down, why not bring across the globe their standard of living up? Worldwide, 2 billion people are living on less than $2 a day. The future for the U.S. and young Americans is not the mindset of vanishing American business scruples, such as the closing of Sensata, a 60-year-old and still profitable Ohio auto parts manufacturer, where salaries averaged a modest $17 an hour, in order to fully exploit Chinese workers who started at 99 cents an hour. Consider the near limitless exploitation likely by the combined populations of China and India and their neighbors, who totaling 12 times that of the U.S., and the resulting shadow which may come over America. The U.S. only has 4.5% of the world's population. According to David Russell Schilling, until 1900, knowledge doubled each century. Then, in 1945, the pace became a doubling every 25 years. A year ago, knowledge was doubling every 18 months. Now, knowledge is doubling every 13 months. At the accelerating pace at which knowledge is compounding, what will be the employer utility of your education? The higher educational process is an economic system within itself. A few salaries of presidents of higher education institutions. President of New York University, $1.5 million. President of Ohio State, $1.9 million. President of Penn State University, $2.9 million. President of University of Chicago, $3.3 million. In Metro Atlanta, the higher education process is still going gangbusters. Kennesaw State University, by buying the BrandSmart 17-acre property for $9.95 million to be used primarily for football, and Georgia State University buying 77-acre Turner Field to be used primarily for football. In 40 U.S. states, the head coach is the highest paid public official, justified by the diversion it provides, which keeps the ball of the higher education process from hitting the ground. An Alabama coach was just given an 8-year, $55.2 million deal per unanimous vote of the Alabama System Trustees Compensation Committee, plus a $400,000 completion bonus for each year, plus other compensations. Spoiler alert. To compare, we pay someone $400,000 per year to be the President of the United States. A related factoid. The NFL claims itself a tax-exempt organization to avoid paying taxes, compared to our president, who paid on his 2013 earnings over $98,000 in taxes. Going to work for an American company used to be like having an extended family. Now business has a different face: brutality. In the relentless pursuit of profits at one Chinese factory, nets have been installed to combat workers who choose suicide by jumping out of windows. Politicians and politics involve and absorb themselves in acts which are entirely disconnected from the plight of struggling Americans. Naming yogurt as the official snack food, renaming Freedom Mountain Ronald Reagan Mountain. Here's a vital equation that doesn't balance, that also fits under PeopleZoom's motto. Greed is not a victimless crime. America has 4.5% of the world's population, but uses 25% of its gasoline. The U.S. has pushed its oil production to 7.7 million barrels per day, reducing our import needs to 7.6 million barrels per day. On our present track, America will never be oil self-sufficient, nor will the price at the pumps ever go down. That's because, why is the U.S. exporting Americans' oil? Exports must expand to sustain the boom that increased U.S. production last year by the most since the first commercial well was drilled in 1859. The world's 5 largest oil fields, the Ghawar in Saudi Arabia, the Burgan in Kuwait, the Safaniya in Saudi Arabia, the Rumalia in Iraq, and the West Qurna II in Iraq. Although on paper, 88% of America's oil belongs to Americans, it is treated as if it belongs to the corporations in the oil business. In these top 20 oil-producing countries, the U.S. is the largest in which the U.S. government has let oil companies operate without transparency as the fox guarding the henhouse. These are the top 20 oil-producing countries, and those 4 who do not regard oil as a public resource. The Panama Canal is being widened. Freighters of 3 times the capacity will now be coming to U.S. ports. Sold as good for America, speculating that Ford Motor Company might export 30,000 vehicles to China through the port of Boston. Reported in October 2013, the U.S. imported a whopping 488,000 vehicles in a year, just through the port of Brunswick, Georgia alone. The cost of deepening U.S. ports for these new massive ships is being picked up by U.S. taxpayers, although almost exclusively private companies will benefit. The final cost by 2020 will be $46 billion. That's $1 million 46,000 times. If you are thinking, maybe I need a safety net, PeopleZoom is your best course of action. PeopleZoom will not derail your own ambitions, plans, and goals. Instead, if you have income on the side, you will be empowered to live your dreams. PeopleZoom returns to people should own businesses, instead of businesses owning people and their lives. PeopleZoom has a full-circle economics business model to replace today's regard for Americans to be exploited as mere consumers and denied the opportunity to work for dignified wages. PeopleZoom's The Works gives you triple action. In essence, you are hiring yourself. You are taking the best business advice from America's leading businessmen. You are using our business instead of your labor. Since the bulk of the performance rests on the shoulders of PeopleZoom, the company itself, it is as if you are hiring a company to work for you. Imagine in today's scheming business world, a solution based upon what the public calls random acts of kindness. You wanted a higher education? Maybe you just got one. PeopleZoom, because life isn't so simple anymore. PeopleZoom, the solutions from thinking outside the box. When you review your life, the steps you will be proudest of are those you took individually. Our easiest address, www.pplzm.us, or call 770-734-4149. All rights reserved.